Hello, my name is Dinko Bacic, and in this brief video I'll talk about our Module 6 in our CIS 201 course. Module 6 is dedicated to a topic of business intelligence, business analytics, and overall organizational systems that companies use to support their decision-making, exploration, and overall ability to find insight, and ultimately really to gain knowledge so that they can have some kind of a competitive advantage over their competition using those systems. So in this module we will cover a number of things, but before we talk about the systems we need to really step back and try to think about what are the types of decisions that we make in an organization. Once we have a better understanding of the type of decision making that needs to happen, hopefully it becomes a bit more logical in terms of why certain systems exist, why they have certain features, in order to amplify some of the characteristics of decision making they need to support. Once we cover that, we'll move into different types of management support systems. One of them is decision support system. Then we move on into a system that's highly visual in its nature. I guess its legacy name would be executive support system. And you will see that really in reality, in the practice, we rarely call these systems by the name of executive support system, because decision making is now being done at much deeper level within the organization. And those reports that tended to support only executives are being now used across the company. So the term executive support system could be a potentially misnomer, but given that that's how we call them, at least historically and academically, we refer to them as such. Then we'll talk about different types of systems that support and recognize the fact that some decisions require group decision making, and the group decision making can be synchronous, it can be asynchronous, and so we'll be talking about different ways that systems can support that decision making as well. Then we'll move on to one somewhat specialized type of management support system, which is GIS, or Geographic Information System. In the past, that used to be, I would say, a niche category where you had to have high technical skills to be able to use some of those systems. I would say it's probably still the case that you have to have technical aptitude for some of them, but at the same time you're seeing integration of some of those capabilities into tools that are much easier to use, and there is a much wider adoption of GIS systems and their features, and they are extremely beneficial because a lot of data and the relationships between data points is actually due to the fact that something is either close or far geographically. So the geographic understanding is very important, especially on the visual side. So all these systems that I just mentioned, they have to be implemented, and as any other system that gets implemented, there are challenges. A lot of challenges, I would say, are very similar between them and just systems in general, but there are certain ones that are needed to be elevated, and we'll talk about that in the guidelines. Now that we have the understanding of the decision-making process, or at least what types of decisions we're making, where we fit in the organization, and what management support systems we can deploy, very quickly we come to a point where we have to recognize where is this data, those raw facts that we are going to then display and do something with them and turn them into information, where are they actually stored and housed and manipulated. And we have to start talking about the concepts of databases, data warehouses, data marts. So we'll talk about that as well. And then lastly, I'll briefly talk about information visualization and dashboards using Tableau software. As part of this course, we want you to have a hands-on experience using some of these technologies. And Tableau is one of the leading tools right now to help support our decision making, primarily highly visually, so that we can display information via dashboards and just overall visualization displays of data. So that's our module 6 ahead of us, and then in the following videos we'll start kind of separating these components and talking about them one by one.